Let's be real. Our screens are just everywhere. They're in our pockets, they're on our desks, they're on our walls. We use them for work, for fun, for basically everything. But our relationship with these glowing rectangles, well, that's changing, and it's changing fast. Okay, so what in the world do school laptops, phone addiction, and, the entire future of computing have to do with each other? It sounds like a random list, I know, but they're actually three acts in the exact same story. A story all about who's really in control. Is it us, or is it our devices? So, our story starts in a place you might not expect. A high school. This is an environment where technology isn't just tolerated, it's managed down to the last detail. This is Eltham High School, and they've got this program they call Specified Bring Your Own Device. Now, that doesn't mean just bring any old laptop from home. Oh no, the school tells you exactly what kind of machine students need to have. And when I say exact, I mean it. The requirements are seriously strict. We're talking a minimum of 16 gigs of RAM, a battery that can go a full 7 hours, and even dual cameras so students can use the laptop instead of their phone for assignments. And get this, they're even requiring a neural processing unit, or NPU, that can handle over 40 TOPS. That's trillions of operations per second, a spec designed specifically to handle all the on-device AI that's coming down the line. This is not just a computer. It's a very specific tool for a very specific job. So why go to all this trouble? Why so much control? Well, it's about creating a totally level playing field. If every student has the same kind of hardware, the school can make sure everyone has access to the same learning tools. It also makes tech support for 1,800 people a whole lot easier. And it lets them build a safe, focused digital space for everybody. And that control doesn't stop with the hardware. The school uses a central service to push out all the apps, all the security updates, everything. In this world, the laptop is an incredibly powerful but completely managed tool. Okay, so that's the ideal, right? Technology as this perfectly controlled instrument for learning. But let's move on, because we need to talk about what happens the second that control vanishes. Because the moment those students walk off school grounds, they pick up a totally different device, right? Their phone. And with that little device in their hand, the question of who's in control gets a lot more complicated. I'm sure you've heard this term thrown around before, nomophobia. It stands for no mobile phobia, basically the fear of being without your phone. And for years, we've kind of talked about it like it's some new modern phobia. But here's the thing. Some new research is saying we've got the word completely wrong. A phobia, like a fear of spiders, is triggered by the presence of something. You see the spider, you get scared. What happens with our phones is the exact opposite. The anxiety isn't triggered when we have the phone, it's triggered by its absence. Kind of like how you feel when you can't get your morning coffee. And that isn't a phobia, that is a classic textbook sign of withdrawal. And the data really backs this up. In one study, researchers measured people's anxiety levels, their heart rate, their blood pressure, all of it. And the results were crystal clear. People's anxiety and blood pressure didn't go up when they were using their phones. No, they shot up when their phones were taken away. It's the separation that causes the stress. So the device itself isn't really the drug here. It's more like the delivery system. It gives us this constant drip of social rewards, and maybe even more important, it's an escape hatch, a distraction from the stresses of everyday life. And when you take it away, you're taking away that coping mechanism. Because of all this, some researchers have actually proposed classifying this as a real behavioral addiction, complete with its own list of symptoms. And some of these might sound, a little familiar. Things like always thinking about your phone, feeling intense anxiety when it's gone, or using it just to make yourself feel better. The tool has really started to take control. So we've gone from a controlled tool to an addictive companion. So where do we go from here? Well, it looks like the screen is getting ready to make its next big leap, and it's getting even closer to us. Right now, the world's biggest tech companies are betting billions and billions of dollars that this is the future, augmented reality glasses. A lot of people in the industry see them as the thing that will eventually, inevitably, replace the smartphone. And you have to admit, the vision is pretty wild. Just imagine one device that could create a virtual screen of any size, anywhere you want it. It could replace your phone, your TV, your laptop screen, your desktop monitor, all of it. You could basically carry an IMAX theater around in your pocket. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are some obvious problems, right? Like, how would you even type? But think back for a second. People were just as skeptical that a flat piece of glass on an iPhone could ever replace the clicky, satisfying keyboard on a BlackBerry. And, well, we all know how that turned out. Technology has a way of figuring these things out. And what about the battery? Well, one of the leading ideas is to just take the heavy parts, the processor and the battery, and put them in a little puck that lives in your pocket. It would just wirelessly stream the visuals to the super lightweight glosses on your face. See, these aren't deal breakers. They're just engineering challenges waiting to be solved. Okay, so let's connect all these dots. We've got the controlled tool, the addictive device, and now this seamless interface. What does this whole evolution really mean? What's the end game? You can really see this clear progression we've been on. We started by building these powerful but totally locked down tools. Then we made devices that gave us amazing freedom, but they came with a cost, compulsion, and withdrawal. So the next logical step is to just remove the friction entirely and put the digital world right into our field of vision. But here's the scary part. If we already get withdrawal symptoms when the screen is just in our pocket, what happens when we can never actually look away? And we have to remember, this isn't just happening for our convenience. Not at all. This is a multi-trillion-dollar race. Meta, Apple, Google, they are all desperately trying to own the next great computing platform. They're tired of having their apps live on someone else's hardware. The goal is to become the platform everyone else has to build on top of. Which brings us to the final and most important question. This whole journey has been about making our screens more personal, more powerful, more integrated into our lives. But as they make that final leap from our hands to our faces, we really have to ask ourselves, are we perfecting the tool or are we perfecting the trap?